those challenges, and I don't think they get easier. I think people are going to have strong emotions. When Breonna Taylor, none of the cops got indicted for, her murder. That brought out a lot of strong emotions for me. I even made a post on LinkedIn initially about it and got contacted by the CTO of our company because I work directly with clients. And so, how am I supposed to still have my humanity while being this corporate figure? Obviously, Microsoft cares about the relationships, but I also think it's just as important that my clients understand that they're dealing with a 29-year-old Black woman
Right.
who is impacted by everything going on around. So,
Mhm.
yeah, we do well in business. We're business partners, but understand I'm a person first. And so the issues that are matter to me should matter to you. Um, so I think that, emotions will run high. Me personally, I come from a mama and a family that says, it's election day, keep your butt in the house, load your guns, fill your gas tank, and stay in. So for me, I'm gonna keep going with that same kind of mentality of, keeping safe, keeping vigilant, um, being a peacekeeper, right? That's one of the big things I try to be. I try to keep the peace for my own mental wellness. Um, I think people will need to dive deeper into their wellness tactics, working in corporate America. And I'll leave it there because I know that there's still other questions and other areas we could go into, and I don't want to take up the call. So
You have any?
Wow. I think she just dropped the mic. I love the way you answered that, Aisha. The only thing that I would add is that I definitely, if you guys if you're 18 and you haven't voted, please vote. I don't care how long the line is or how long it takes. Please exercise your rights. Think about our ancestors and all that they did, all that they fought for, so that we would have this ability. So please vote. Um, and the second thing I would say is that I think that last night I sort of had a come to Jesus meeting with myself, and I said, wow, this is a very monumental election. It to me, it reminds me of like when Barack Obama ran. I remember it was just like a Black family reunion. When we found out that he was the president, and I think this too is has that same gravity. And I think specifically because of Kamala Harris, and I think that what she represents for Black women is power and resilience and tenacity. And so, if anyone ever doubted the strength and the power of the Black female, I think that she embodies all of that. And so, I think, you know, we as a Black man, she gives me hope because it's like finally Black women are seeing their due diligence. It's like, okay, now we're ready, we're hopefully, preferably, we'll have a Black female VP, which is huge. Um, and so I think as Black people, we just have to continue to show up, like in every aspect, every area of our life. As a student at Smith, as alum, graduates of the university, when we step into the workplace, we have to show up and know that we deserve to be in every room that we set foot in. You know, and I think that this election is going to speak to that. And like I said, I'm excited. A little nervous because we don't know the outcome yet, but I'm also very excited because I think that this is going to really push um us as Black people to really do what we're supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? At the polls, in life. So I'm excited to see what happens after.
Yeah, this is they keep saying, and I really feel like it's true. This one is probably right now the most important election of our lives. You know,
Hmm.
so yeah, everything that you all are saying, it resonates with me. I'm just writing the last couple of student names down. I do want to, at this time, because there are a lot of students on the call, and I don't want to take up all the time asking questions. And maybe there's a student who has a question that they'd like to ask. So I will open up now if there is a student who has a question that they'd like to ask, or maybe you have a reaction to something that has been said. I know somebody asked if we could record this session, and it is being recorded. And so, but is there a student online who has a question or a reaction to something that's already been said?
I have a question.
Okay. Tell us your
This
name
is
and your question.
oh, my name is Ione. Um, I'm a freshman at Johnson C. Smith, so I'm wondering what's some advice that you could give, um, a freshman going to Johnson C. Smith. Like, what are some things that you wish you knew?
That's a good question.
That's a good question.
Mhm.
Do you want to go first, Marcus?
No.
Okay.
Well, you can answer it.
Okay. For me, I studied computer science, information systems. That was my major. And I didn't know what I didn't know coming into Smith. I just knew I got a free laptop and one of my mentors studied computer science. That's about all I knew.
Yeah.
Right. And so I just wish that I knew who to reach out to. One of the things I sometimes tell people, I say tough situation sometimes pushes you exactly where you need to be. I found myself in a situation where I had no money, literally ran out of all my money. Luckily, I was already paying for, meals, so I didn't have to worry about food. But anything else I needed, I was dry. And so I went to there was a building, which I don't know if they have the same people in there, but HBCU Up building across from the library. I walked in there and there was a few different women in there, Lynn McCrae being one of them, but just so happened a lot of them were AKAs. But they kind of talked to me about research. So there's an organization called the NSF.gov. That stands for National Science Foundation. They have a bunch of majors, computer science. They even have some business focused stuff in there as well. Psychology, you name it. Once you get to that site, they told me type in REU, stands for Research Experience for Undergraduates. So I applied for probably 50 different research experiences, and I just reused my recommendation letter from my professors. And that was the best thing I could have ever did, because that one research experience catapulted me into another direction I never could have foresaw for myself. I tell students it's so important to do research on campus, so important to do an internship on campus, because these jobs, you coming out, you have to have something that's shows you can stand out, shows that you can put in the work, that shows that you've done something. So research and internship experiences, do not play about those things, because you will be out here jobless. So invest in yourself, join different organizations. One of the things my stepdad always said was, I wish I could have traveled with the band. Have fun. That's the other thing. Have fun. Have fun. Take your time. Enjoy this experience. It don't always feel like the grass is green when you at Smith, but I promise you, once you graduate, you gonna miss this school. I promise you. You're gonna miss this school. You're gonna miss the tacky ass people, excuse my language, tacky people you see every day that you tired of seeing. You're gonna miss all of that. So enjoy this time, enjoy your friends, enjoy your life where it is, and grind hard. This is the job before the job. So if you want the top job, what kind of job you got to do in school? So I'll pause there.
Yeah, I agree with everything that Aisha said. I don't think I would I guess I would say because I think I was ready for Smith. And like I hit the ground running because my family really wasn't, just to be transparent moment, my family really wasn't feeling the whole entire HBCU experience for me. So they really didn't support me as I felt they should have. So I felt like I was by myself. So I was determined to make it. I was determined to be successful. I was determined to prove them wrong. And so for me, I didn't have time to really catch my breath. I had to hit the ground running, and that's what I did. And so I guess the best advice I would give would be build relationships, network, and 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 don't forget about the people that you're sitting in class with. Like some of you guys will go on and start businesses. become presidents of companies, like do some amazing things like in the community and in the world. And so build relationships with each other, because you never know who you're going to pass on the street, who you're going to
Yeah.
pass at Starbucks, and they've done something amazing. And they're looking for someone to, bring onto the team, so that's very important. And have fun. Like Aisha said, like college is the best time of your life. So many days I'm like, man, I wish I was still in Smith. Like I miss it so much. I mean, the fun, just the excitement of being on campus, like homecoming and bull fest and like all those great things, those gym parties, calf parties. You're not gonna get that again. You won't get that experience again. So really soak up the college experience. Work hard, um, play hard, but also have fun. That's what I would say.
This is
One last
Green. I just wanted to thank the alumni for coming back again. We always enjoy seeing you. I have an alumni coming to my class next week, and he, like you, kept saying all the good things that he had done at Johnson C. Smith. So we appreciate your words of wisdom, and they sound true for all the others that have come, before you. I always tell students that you'll never get another experience like this, or the level of support
Mhm.
Oh no.
in the workforce. And of course, we know the importance of research. We put a lot of focus on that in all departments. Uh, what you want to do is stand out, and the
Hmm.
internships and the research, and even your job, or even students' job experiences.
Hmm.
So, Ms. Brewer, we're happy to have you a freshman this year at Johnson C. Smith. We're sorry it's in the pandemic year,
I
but
know.
you've got 3 more to go. So welcome to Johnson C. Smith, and thank you, Aisha, and thank you, Marcus, for coming.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
It's great to see you, Dr. Green.
I'm still here.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I don't know how much longer, but I'm still here. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was gonna say one more thing, and thank you. Have your group of friends.
Hmm.
Have your study friends. Have your party friends if that's what's important to you. But have your different kinds of friends. You look at someone whose life has gone good or someone whose life has gone bad is typically some type of relationship that got them there, right? A relationship, and it don't have to be a intimate relationship. This could just be a networking relationship or some type of relationship. So pay attention to the relationships in your life.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's important. That's very important. Very
Excuse me.
important.
Did any other student have a question?
About working while Black or
Working
anything.
while Black, anything, life after college.
Hello, my name is Shakira Hill. I'm a senior psychology major from Richmond, Virginia. Oh my goodness. I just wanted to know, like, how did you, or necessarily not how did you, but what was the transition like going from undergrad into the workforce or going to grad school, stuff like that?
Okay, I'll take this one, Aisha. Um, so I'm gonna be honest. I thought I was prepared. So I remember sitting at graduation and it's like, oh my gosh, like my stomach just started like knotting up. I'm like, oh my God, like the real world, like I knew I was graduating, all those things, but I don't think it really hit me until I actually the day of graduation, like listening to the commencement speaker. I'm like, oh my God, am I ready? Like I was just nervous. But I moved off campus my senior year, so I had an apartment. And so I was starting to feel a lot of the adult responsibilities, I guess you would say. And so day one in the workforce, I was like, oh my God, like it was totally different from being on campus and being a student at Smith, like totally different, like two different worlds. And so it was really like culture shock initially. I'm gonna be honest, like my first month, I was like, what am I doing? I felt like I had the skills and the knowledge and all of those great interpersonal skills to be successful, but it was a culture shock. it was really a wake up call. You know, no one's waking you up for work. No one's making sure you get there on time. Nobody's checking in on you to say, hey, is everything okay? Do you understand what it was really like, hey, welcome. Here's your new hire packet. You're in orientation training for a week, and that was it. You know, um, because you get used to the professors at Smith, like checking on you or building those personal relationships. The workplace felt very different. Um, so I must admit, it was an adjustment. My first 90 days being in the work force full time, huge adjustment. But then I just started activating those same skills, those same attributes that I had while at Smith, and I said, okay, I got to pivot. And so I started, I found a mentor, initially found a mentor so that I could sort of model myself behind. And and that was like the rest was history. So it was a success story after that. Um, but early on, I would say it was definitely a culture shock. I don't want to ever experience that again.
Um, so I would agree with everything Marcus said. Culture shock for sure. But granted, I had grew up in Jersey. I was used to a more diverse environment anyway. So going to HBCU was a new experience for me, and being in the South was a new experience for me too. Just seeing a lot of successful Black people was a new experience for me. So coming into corporate America, I was used to being around, different, backgrounds and races and just diversity in general. So that wasn't so much of a shock. But I wrote down a few things while Marcus was talking. The first thing was when the summertime hit of my first year at work, I was very upset because I realized every summer I had did an internship or worked a job, and I never had my summers off with work. But I remember my parents saying that was a job before the job. So of course, in real life job, you don't have no summers off. So I remember the first summer hit and I was just pissed because I was like, dang, I gotta do this the rest of my life. So that was the first thing I would say. The other thing I wrote down was I realized, I always wanted to make this particular salary. And when I started making, Microsoft money, I realized I had no idea on how to manage my finances. So that was another shock. Um, you think you know how to manage money, and then you get money and you don't have no money. How does that work? My professionalism. I had but I also want to caveat this. I'll talk about inclusion in a second, but just kind of understanding how people communicate in the workplace. Everything is through email. You have to know how to write emails. You have to know how to write emails. You have to have good grammar. You have to greet people at the start of every email. You can't just put in the subject of what you want to say and send it off. You got to put a best regards or a thank you and put your name at the end of signature. That was another thing. But then the other thing that I've been journeying on for the last 7 years, which has been interesting for me in my career, is D&I. These companies push diversity and inclusion, and it is a real thing. But here's the issue. When you enforce inclusion and you say people, you must include people, right? No matter their race, religion, what their background is, right? That creates responsibility on the person that's being included. Because if you're being included because you have a diversity in thought. You may have a different opinion. So how do you stay professional while still being authentic? Because inclusion doesn't work if everyone doesn't bring their authentic self to the workplace. So for me, I have to be very intentional about not only staying professional, knowing my stuff, but staying authentic. I'm authentically me. You're not seeing a different mask outside the workplace, inside the workplace. You're seeing me. You're getting my right opinions, right? And so that was the shock that my team, like my first year, I kind of came from the legacy mindset of what my parents said, like, come in early, be the last one to leave, keep your mouth shut, keep your head down, do your work. My first year at Microsoft, I did get promoted, but my team gave me some very interesting reviews. They said she allows the customers to railroad her. She doesn't speak up for herself. And I always was worried about being the angry Black girl, and not to say I don't challenge or get challenged on that sometimes still, but they were like, we don't hear your voice. You don't speak up in the meeting. And I'm like, well, I don't know anything yet. I'm still learning. And they were like, no, we want to hear your voice. And that was the biggest shock, I would say, just trying to learn how to be okay asking stupid questions, be okay putting myself on front street, being okay just saying, hey, this doesn't make sense because I'm from Jersey and we would never do no issue like that. You know what I mean? Just being honest about my true thoughts. You'd be surprised how much the business actually wants to hear it sometimes.
What are some of the things that students can, like, how can students get involved at this rate as a student that will prepare them for the future?
Okay, just some clarity on your question. Get involved, like,
On campus.
oh, okay. Um, I think we both touched on it earlier. Like, it's about you can't go to class and then go to your dorm and, well, campus isn't open, so you guys don't have. I mean, you guys are still, but you want to be well-rounded. You don't want to just go to class and then once class is over, you're going back to your room and you're sitting in your room. You really want to soak up the college experience. And so, how do you do that? You have to get involved, join clubs. If fraternities and sororities are your thing, possibly consider joining a fraternity or sorority. Network. Talk to professors. Find out ways that you can delve into internships or externships. um, do community service projects, um, research companies that you're interested in. Like, I knew that I wanted to work in corporate. I knew I wanted to work. I was a finance major, so I wanted to work at, the Bank of America. A few years ago, it was First Union, BB&T, and so I researched those companies, and I networked with people that work for those companies. Um, Build relationships with people, in and outside the classroom, on campus and off campus, and don't be afraid to be diverse. Like, everyone doesn't have to think like you, act like you, dress like you, talk like you. Um, you know, just you want to present yourself as a well-rounded person, and because at the end of the day, those are the people that are assertive, with their goal, accomplish their goals, and going after what they want. Those are the ones that companies hire. Those are the ones that get the nice offer letters with the nice salaries. Um, those are the ones that are able to take advantage of the opportunities when they come. So that's what I would say.
Um, I
I
like
have a
everything Mark.
question.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'll wait.
No, I was just gonna say I agree with everything Marcus said. Only thing I would add is build out a time management schedule now,
Mm,
right? Because all of the stuff that we're talking about, that takes time and energy from you on top of what you have to do. So figure out,
that's
you
true.
know, what you're capable of doing and where your limits are and where you can push past those limits. I think that'll be crucially important to your success post college, as well as figure out your wellness routine, right?
Yeah,
We're all dealing with COVID, we're all dealing with this impact. What are you doing to make sure that you are good for you? Right? A lot of us are people pleasers, but how have you pleased yourself in
that's
the
true.
last week or in the last day or in the last hour, right? So make sure you stay on top of those things because those things matter even, I would say, almost double post college.
Oh yeah.
There is
So,
a thing called post college blues.
Oh yeah.
So should I create like a folder or something, or like a document? This may sound like a crazy question for me to like track down service hours.
Yes.
So
Definitely,
I'm
definitely,
just
definitely. Definitely.
You
okay.
Yeah, you should track those, but I want to also open it up. I think Denisa, Denai, I'm
Denise
probably
Hall.
yeah, Janasia.
yeah, I think you also had a question too.
So, I'm a freshman. My name's Janasia, and I'm a dance major. So, I'm like trying to like get all the like non-major related advice, I guess. But for me, I work 4 to 11, like 4 p.m. to 11, and then some days I get out of class at like 2:45, and then I have to catch the bus at like 3. So it's like hard for me to like not really manage with school, but like sometimes I have to do like homework on break, like on my work break type stuff. So I was just wondering like how you guys went about like with like after school activities and if you guys were working or not, because
Mhm.
the only reason why I didn't like try to join a dance team or whatever is because like I'm busy working and then saving up for school.
Yeah, so I found myself in a similar situation. My mom, same as Marcus, my family didn't want me to go that far away to school or HBCU. So my mom gave me $200 and said, survive. And if you get anything less than a B, I'm pulling you back to Jersey. So I didn't have no money, so I had to work. So the first thing I did was I started looking at the jobs I could work while, first off, not having a car. Also, um, not wanting to rely too much on public transportation, right? Especially you mentioned coming home at 11 o'clock at night. That's a little bit late on public transportation coming down Beatty's Ford Road if you out in Charlotte. Just be careful, right? So I had to start thinking about that. So I did work at Best Buy, but I didn't work at Best Buy until probably like my sophomore and junior year. And I only did it for a limited time because for me, working that late at night wasn't going to be good to my sleep cycle or my fun cycle, right? So I need to be able to have fun and I need to be able to sleep. So I did Best Buy on a seasonal basis, but for me, I chose that working that late at night wasn't that good. But what I did to supplement, because I still needed income, was I decided to get a job on campus. I couldn't get work study; it was just complicated. But I found out I could be a tutor, right? So I did that. There's other jobs like Task Rabbit where you could do little tasks for different people and different stuff. So I looked into like little apps like that. And then I found out that Johnson C. Smith also hosts a lot of research, in semester research. So I started to do at least like at a minimum, if I could try to take part in at least 2 different research opportunities in semester, which built up my resume. And they typically pay about $500 per research experience that you do at Smith. So that was also another way I went about income. But for me, I just, I balanced it by finding jobs on campus. So that way, like, for example, if I'm Black Ink Monk, and I have to tutor, right? But somebody need to meet with me for a meeting, they could just come on campus. They don't have to come off campus and meet me somewhere, right? I'm working on my homework. We probably in the same class together. We're doing the same org together, right? So a lot of my places became stops to do multiple things at one time, AKA that don't stop, right? Maybe on my way to work, I'll stop by because I was a treasurer. I had to stop by the bank. So, I found ways to do everything, but do it within the confines of what I was capable of. So if that's working for you, fine. But for me, I had to figure out like, okay, I can't do this late night job all year. I may have to pick up more hours tutoring. I may have to pick up STARS. There's other programs that I was a part of at Smith. STARS pays. I did research that pays. So I found a lot of ways to make money as a student. Outside of work study because I couldn't get work study and I couldn't really get a lot of grants. So that's what I did. I don't know if those opportunities are as available now, but they were when I was on campus.
Yeah. My problem is I also live in New York, but it's upstate New York, so it's
Oh
11 hours
wow.
away.
Oh
So
wow.
so I'm just like my mom's like, "Oh, maybe you shouldn't go," but I got a merit scholarship, so I'm like, "Why not? Like that's way easier."
Oh yeah.
But with everything being online, it seems like it's kind of like more challenging, I feel like it would, than being on campus. And then there's some teachers that like don't really help at all.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
Yeah. I'm not good with online learning. I had started a master's
yeah.
program and dropped out because I just couldn't do it. So I commend every single student on this line because I
Me
would not be
too.
Right.
Me too.
I would have dropped personally, because I don't have that mentality for whatever reason. But I'll tell you, if you feel the need to be here, just do everything you can to be here. Because I think that builds something in you. And I also think going away sometimes builds something in you.
Hmm.
One of the things the ladies in HBCU up told me my freshman year as I was looking for different research and internships going into, they said, you've already came 10 hours away from your home. Don't be afraid of taking an internship in a random place. And long behold, I got an internship opportunity my sophomore year working out in Kansas City, Missouri. In most cases, I would have said no, but I remember what they told me at JCSU and I went. And that experience is probably part of the reason why Microsoft picked me up. So,
Yeah.
step out of your comfort zone.
Mhm.
Thank you.
No problem. And stay with the dance major. My sister runs a dance school. She's a dance major. I love it. So,
That is
Question for
really good
you.
advice. Come out of your comfort zone. That's great advice because
Oh yeah,
that's
yeah.
what a lot of times, we don't step out of our comfort zone. And so we miss so many opportunities. So that's amazing advice.
Mhm.
Any other students have questions?
Yeah, I had a question for Miss Davis. How when you first started working at Microsoft, like how was it as a black woman? Was it like scary going into it? Was did you like not like what's the word? Not like when you not like face racism, like like go through that, but like did you feel like they were like judging you because you were black and you were a woman and you were so young? Was it like
yes.
hard and scary?
Yes. Yes, 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 yes. So I was lucky. My first mentor was another black woman. She was mean, but she helped me. And that was another thing I encountered. I realized, dang, black women sometimes want you to succeed and sometimes they don't. My mentor wanted me to succeed. She was just mean as hell. And people probably say the same thing about me now. But she was very helpful. So I luckily started in Charlotte, which I consider our black office. So there's a lot of black people around me. There's a lot of Greeks. There was a lot of AKAs, that wanted to take me under their wing. So I found a lot of support actually starting where I started at Microsoft. You know, they were very, nice to me about, my attire until I got that together, tried to figure out who I was and what I wanted my style to be. But it was a challenge, right? Because like I said, I was scared. I came from this legacy mindset of, don't speak up. So, I didn't know how much of myself to show. And I also held back myself in many instances. I didn't speak up for myself. And so I did face instances of discrimination and racism and even sexual harassment, right? Being a woman in general in tech, where there's not many women, right? From Black men and white men and men of all races, right? Some of my clients being inappropriate with me, I deal with that regularly, right? This is the world we live in. It's not the company, it's the world we live in. And so it was a struggle for me, I would say, my first 5 years, 21 to 25, right? I actually ended up quitting Microsoft for about 2 months because um, when I finally found my voice, it came out very angry. And I gave them like a 10-page thesis about all that I had experienced in the last 5 years. And they said, "Who did you talk to?" And I didn't have an answer. I said, "Well, I spoke to this one Black person. I talked to this other Black person." I said, "But there's not enough Black people in leadership and not enough Black people I feel comfortable with." Well, that's partially their fault. They should hire more Black people, which they're working on, right? But that's also my fault for not having my voice, not knowing myself, and not speaking up for myself when people disrespected you. Someone disrespected you, you don't have to fight for every instance of disrespect isn't a reason to fight for your respect. Some things you just let go. You be like a duck in water, let it roll off your back. But there's certain instances where you need to correct people. So I have become very good. When I came back to Microsoft 2-3 years ago after my 2 months off, I took that time to travel and focus on my wellness. That was something else I didn't do. But when I came back, I said, I'm gonna have my voice. So do I deal with it still? Do people tell me, I'm angry and I feel like, your personality is aggressive. And I asked some questions. I said, so help me understand when you say aggressive, what does that mean? And I probably say it in a very aggressive way, but I want to understand it. So I question people all the time, and I don't let anyone railroad me, and I speak up for myself, and I make sure that I participate in our hiring, right? So I make sure that I'm bringing in a ton of Black people on a regular basis. So I aid to my environment to kind of help shift some of that, right? But even Black people come in with their own bias around, how a company should work, right? Or they're scared to speak up for themselves coming in. So, you still deal with different challenges. It's not even just the race thing. It's just people are just unsure how to. I don't think people really know how to do corporate America. I think everyone's just kind of winging it and trying to do the best they can. And you'll be fine when you come in if you decide to go that route.
So like, what's some like advice you would give me, because I want to go into like politics, and I'm kind of scared because it's like it's not a lot of Black people and it's not a lot of women. So, and I don't want to get like intimidated and like quit my career, my dream career, because like one, like because of one, what was you like one thing someone said to me, like a piece of criticism. So like, what is the, and then like I have like I didn't like worked at places where like it was a lot of white people and they like say like kind of over the like under the table type of stuff, like semi racism, but I don't know how to like, because I don't, like you said, you don't want to come off as an aggressive Black person or that Black girl, so I kind of just don't say stuff even when I know I should have said something, because I don't want to start chaos. So like, how could you like say it in a way where like you're kind of checking them, but then you don't want to come off aggressive, you know?
I think the more you do it, the better you get at it. I think the first few times you do it, you're going to come off aggressive and it's not going to come out right. And sometimes the words need to be said, even if they don't come out right. Because this is the thing, we can't prioritize other people's comfort over our own. If you're uncomfortable, nobody else should be comfortable, period. But so many times in our lives, we allow other people to be comfortable, or we even find an environment. We'll pretend we didn't hear something just so they could feel more comfortable with their tomfoolery. And that is on you. And we have to stop allowing that. So I would say, say what you got to say. Stop, take that fear off of it and get rid of the imposter syndrome, and build some tough skin, because in business, no matter who you're dealing with, you have to be firm, you have to be focused, and sometimes you have to be intense. It just depends on the situation. Um, and so you gotta get tough. My first time I cried, and my major was my freshman year at Smith. I got invited to work on a research project my second semester of my freshman year with these two guys who I considered friends, Black men. And do you know they didn't listen to not a single idea I had? And then after I repeated my idea, they didn't listen. And then one of the guys said it in the group later on, and they were like, "Oh, that's a wonderful idea." And I'm like, "But I said it." I said it first, and they said they would pick on me and make me feel like I didn't deserve to be there. And I was only being favorited because, I was, always up in the teacher's face. Right. Try to discredit my knowledge. And I went in the bathroom. I remember I cried. And at the time, Dr. Chow came in. She came into the bathroom because she must have could tell something was up. And I was in there crying. I'm not a crier. And she just said, this is not the first time this will happen, and it's not going to be the last. Get tough. If you want to be in here, you got to be tough. You want to go into politics, you got to get tough. Life is about hills and valleys, and those hills will build you up. So just take your time. Don't rush. Don't feel like you have to be fully confident in what you got to say today, but keep working on it. And I promise you, you will get there. Who I am today, I was not this person even 3 years ago. But I've just found my voice over time.
Thank you.
No problem. And I dropped my email in the chat. So if anybody want to connect afterwards, let me know.
That is great advice. You have to find your voice, and you have to, as she said, you have to practice, because you're gonna mess up sometimes. Even after you've practiced a long time, you're gonna still mess up sometimes, and but you still have to find your voice and make yourself the priority. And that's part of self-care, which was also mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
That you're important as much as the other person is. So
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have one more question.
Can I add one more thing though to that? I want to just say, when you're speaking up, don't just apply that to corporate America. The first time I did that to share something personal was with my parents, because my parents kept treating me like a child, and I was making my own money and not living in their house, So the first people I had to get the courage to do that with was my parents. And that kind of speaking up for yourself will start to transcend in other areas of your life.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead, Z.
My question was, mainly, could you just give like an example of one time when at a workplace when you was disrespected or whatever, and you kind of like handled it by speaking your voice?
You want to go, Marcus? We only got a little bit of time.
I don't, it's funny. I don't have an example. I don't think.
Oh, I do.
Luckily, I don't have an example of that. I'm trying to think. I'm really trying to. I don't think I have an. Let's see. When I film. No, my journey, my career journey has been pretty cool for the most part. So I'll let you take that. Oh,
Okay. I have plenty, unfortunately, but that's business. Microsoft is a company for companies. I've worked with over 120 clients, right? Um, I'll tell you about a time actually when somebody spoke up for me. I was at a client site, and this before I had my voice. I was at a client site, but in my main contact, me and him were really, really cool, but I had never been to his company or met his team, and we were out in the backwoods of Pennsylvania. And I went on site and I was talking and explaining what I had to explain. I was super nervous because I'd never met these people, and I didn't see not a single Black person in their office, not one. And I only saw 2 women, and them women they wouldn't look glamorous like me. So, I knew I was already standing out. And during the meeting, I think I noticed it, but I was kind of like trying not to notice it, but nobody was looking at me while I was speaking. And when people did speak, they wouldn't look at me. They would like look in other directions or look down. And I noticed it, but I didn't quite. And then my main contact actually stopped the meeting. And he said, I'm stopping this right here. And I like, got nervous. I was like, what's going on? And he said, listen, if you're going to address her or ask her questions during this meeting, you look her in the eye. No one is looking her in the eye. I notice everyone's looking down. If you're talking to her, look this way. And her name is Aisha. That's how you say her name. And he stopped the meeting. And he said, if you're unable to do that, I ask anybody in here who's not capable of doing that to walk out this room right now. And this was a white man, and it's interesting. Actually, it's been white men who typically have taught me my voice, because they have no problem saying what they feel. And if they like you, which some of them have, they have stood up for me, and I've learned my voice through them, which is a weird thing to say, but it's the truth. But yeah, that's a situation before I had my voice. And I mean, I now, if I notice that now, I'd be like, listen, if I can't have respect here, then I'm not going to be here. And I would walk out the room. But back then, I didn't have the confidence to do something like that. So I don't know if that helps, but that's a situation that I went through.
That's a good example, and it further reiterates the point that sometimes you have to speak up for yourself. You got to call people on their mess, because if you don't, they're going to keep doing it, and they're going to keep disrespecting you in ways that will just continue to pile on. And then when you blow up, then now you look like the crazy one, when you could have just spoken up for yourself in the beginning and taken care of that situation. So that's a great example. And I see the students are saying in the chat that helps a lot. So we've got 2 more minutes. Somebody was about to say something?
Who was about to say something?
Can I say something? Speak up for yourself when y'all get your offers too, for seniors in the room. Speak up for yourself when you get your offer. Every offer leaves at least 10% on the table. I've seen a recruiter offer someone a role in a sales position, and that person was so excited with that offer, they didn't negotiate. And you know what? That company went back and rescinded that offer. And the person said, why? They said, because I'm putting you in a sales role to speak up for our company and sell our brand. If you can't even sell and negotiate for your own self, how are you going to do it for us? But go ahead, y'all. Any questions?
Well, if there are no other questions, somebody have one? Go ahead.
It was just a question about like, how does like the tutor thing work? Is it like you're tutoring a specific class, or is it like a subject? Just
I was a program in 1, program in 2. It was specific classes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's how I did it. So classes that I got like a A or B in, you could typically tutor in.
Okay.
Anybody else? I don't want to cut y'all off.
I got a quick question. I just wanted to ask, what do you guys consider like the hardest year, just being at Smith, if you guys can remember?
Oh, I would say freshman year. For me, it was freshman year. It was because it's an adjustment. You're leaving home, living on your own, living on campus. You have this newfound freedom that you may didn't have when you were at your parents, and no one's really there to babysit you. You know, it's you have to go out there whatever you want. You know, your professors aren't calling you and say, "Hey, you missed 8 o'clock class." Your parents aren't there to really micromanage you, as my parents tried to do with me. um, and so for me, I think my freshman year was the hardest year, because you're growing into your own. And it's like, oh wow, like it's a new experience. I had never been to Charlotte before, had never really experienced the HBCU before, never lived in a community dorm with perfect strangers. Having a roommate was an adjustment. So for me, it was definitely freshman year. You know,
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah. I got 2 years. I would say freshman year, one, again, adjustment living with people. I would agree. I went through at least 3 different roommates my freshman year and probably got into some um fights. It was a rough freshman year. I actually almost transferred out at the end of my freshman year, but somebody told me to apply for Miss Sophomore, which I didn't win. But doing that, I found a new set of friends because most people lose their freshman year friends. Some people keep them, but you typically rotate them out. So I had some new friends, over time towards the end of my second semester of my freshman year, because I was like, these people I first connected with are not my crew, you know. And then I would say senior year, because I started to lose motivation to keep going. I still didn't have no money my fourth year in school. I had, done all these hours, all these credits and stuff like that. So just finding that own self motivation. Everybody had a job before me too, senior year, and they was like, you got to get your job the first semester of your senior year. I'm like, everybody got a job. I ain't got a job yet, So finding that resilience and self motivation, and just say, I don't see nothing in front of me, but I'm gonna keep grinding. Towards the goals and the things that I've set out for myself, because there ain't no other choice but to go forward. So yeah, senior year was tough. Not having to, I also failed a class. I had to beg to retake something so I could graduate because I just wasn't focused. I just didn't care anymore by senior year. So just rebuilding up my self-motivation. And that's something that I have been able to bring with me now at Microsoft. 7 years, you're doing the same job. You got to have a lot of internal things to get you motivated again and get you excited again. So
Yeah, that takes dedication. That was inspiring. Thanks.
I played sports growing up. So, if you play sports, sometimes you can lean on things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Well, I was going to ask if you all can talk about getting involved in employee resource groups and that kind of thing. I don't think we've talked about that so far today. So if you could just kind of briefly mention that.
I guess I'll go first. I know, Marcus, you started in corporate America too, but and I don't know if they have ERG groups within like the business you're in now, but I know at Microsoft, we have employee resource groups. That's what ERG stands for. So we have West Indians at Microsoft, we have AKAs at Microsoft, we have Blacks at Microsoft, and our Blacks at Microsoft group has been around the longest. I think these groups are important, but I think that it's important that you shape the experience you get out of them. Once you become a part of an employee resource group, you are the employee, you are the resource, you are the group, right? And so find ways to get active and involved, right? Any success that you gain in life, any experience, being here is even a success for some students. If you're, first generation college student, especially, any opportunity you get, being a part of ERG or being at JCSU, figure out how you can use that to give back to others, right? For me, I find that very fulfilling. And that's really the reason I feel like we're all here. We're all here to be of assistance and a resource to each other. So I would say be that group, figure out how you can get involved, what's already happening, and then how you can improve that group. And don't be afraid to share your ideas.
Yeah. And I would just echo everything that Aisha says. The nonprofit sector has a lot of I would say affinity groups and things like that. And so it's all about giving back. One reason that I left the corporate world was because I felt like I was sort of losing myself behind punching numbers, and that really wasn't who I really was. At the end of the day, I love people and I love community and I love like capacity building and um like mentoring and things like that. So took a deep dive into the nonprofit sector because I was losing myself um working a 9 to 5 in corporate. And so but one thing that Aisha mentioned that I would echo what I would say is like just being yourself, like showing up every day. You're really being authentic, because people really appreciate that, and people know when you're being the counterfeit version of yourself or the watered down version of yourself. And in this day and age, imagine the impact if each of us showed up every day and was really who we really are. Like just imagine the impact. I'm sure it took a lot of faith for Kamala Harris to decide to run for VP, of the United States. So imagine had she not did that, and imagine once she's elected, the impact that's going to have on so many other women that look like her or girls, that want to model behind her. So just show up every day, and be your authentic self. Don't be afraid to be your authentic self. And any employer that sort of forces you to be a counterfeit version of yourself isn't worth it. It's not worth it, and they're causing you to sell yourself short. So that's all I would say.
I have a question. I know you guys touched on this a little bit, but I just want to know, like, once you like said, I'm using my voice, I'm amplifying it, this is how I feel, I'm making my presence known, like, was it awkward, like, for people to see you as that, or did they just respect you more? Because I feel like once you like say this is what I'm not gonna stand for, they just kind of like, oh well, then that's it. Like, they don't really like not even so treat you the same, but probably not talk to you. Not saying you come to work to make friends, but you still kind of want to have a little circle at work, I guess, to keep you afloat. So was that weird, or like how was that transition, I guess?
Yeah, I can go.
Okay.
It was a lot of tears. It was a lot of tears, a lot of sleepless nights, and a lot of pain. Because like I said, me finding my voice started outside the workplace, right? That started with my parents, right? Then that started transcended to my relationship at the time that I was in, right? And I realized, oh, dang, I'm just getting married because I want to say I got a man and I'm married, right? But my truth is, I don't want to be, So, finding my voice, it's been a painful process, but been a worth it process. I have zero regrets. Um, and I find myself to be more at peace than a lot of other people around me because I don't let things slide. And um, it's interesting now being 29 and thinking about at 21 and 22 arguing with my parents about this. Now my mom, has started to find her voice. My mom has always been kind of like, I'm gonna tell you how I feel about that once we get in this house. But now, obviously everything doesn't deserve a response, right? But there's certain situations that do. And my mom she tells me and my grandmother, like, I admire you. And that's huge to me to hear that from the women in my family, because I speak up for myself and I'm my authentic self at all times, in any circle. Oh, and you said, how do you push past people's images? You just tear them down, Marcus maybe know, maybe he don't know, but when I quit Microsoft 2 years ago and I decided to find my voice, all around. People knew me as the girl who led God's Lounge, and took people to church, but I'm like, that's not really who I am. I really, I love the Lord, but I like to go to a new beach. I like to do fun things. I have tattoos, I smoke, that's my life. that's me sharing who I am, but I got to be honest with you, that's who I am, right? So I just have to push past people's barriers. You may have met me at this intersection of my life, but that's not the full picture. Understand that. So I let people understand they're not my best friend, and you only meeting me here. You only got a glimpse of me right here. That doesn't even mean who I'm gonna be tomorrow. So I let people know change is always possible. I work in the cloud.
We are at 10:45. Is there any one final thing that you'd like to say to kind of wrap up everything that we've talked about? Maybe any question that we didn't ask that you were like, oh, I this, or you prepared a response. If not, then we thank you all so much for coming. But I just thought there may be one thing that you might want to say. Somebody said you're so inspiring. Thank you so much for coming.
Oh, thank you.
I would echo something Marcus said earlier. Network across. Network with your peers. Sometimes the best connections are not the people up above that seem like they have opportunities. It's your network of peers. And it's been my peers that have kept me grounded. It was my peers who called me when it hit the fan for me at work. It was my peers. So, the friendships that I have at Smith, these are still many of my best friends, and even my best friends at the job are my best friends from Johnson C. Smith who work at Microsoft. So, keep that in mind.
Yes, same thing. As I said it earlier, definitely network across. Because like I said, some of you guys will go on to start companies or do some amazing things in business, and and you'll want to bring on other Smithites, like some from your classes, with you for the journey. So just remember that you are the prize. Like when you land your job, walk in there with your shoulders back and your head held high, and know that you are the prize and you deserve to be there. You know, and just walk in your truth and your power, and I think that you'll be successful.
Thank you all so much. Thank you both so much for coming. Thank you for doing this twice. I think this one was so much better than the summer one because it was so interactive. We had a lot of participation. Thank you to all the students who came this morning, and thank you for your participation, cameras on and all that good stuff. The ones who had, your cameras on and so we could see you and interact with you. We appreciate that. Thank you, Dr. Green, for bringing your class. And so thank you all. Really appreciate everything, all the comments. And you've got Aisha has put her information in the chat. Marcus put his in the chat earlier. So grab that before you leave out. Y'all have a great day.
And thank you again, students. Good seeing you.
Did someone grab a screenshot? Marcus, did you get a screenshot?
No, I was trying, but I didn't know how to do it. That's why I had
before everybody tried.
I just took a little screenshot with my phone because I couldn't do it with my iPad for whatever reason.
I couldn't. I was like,
I can do it. Hold on.
Okay.
Are they taking a screenshot of the pictures?
Yes.
Oh Lord, I might want to get off.
You look nice, Dr. Green.
Okay, let me take another one then.
Okay.
Yeah, because I could only do it with my phone because I couldn't get it to work on my iPad.
All right, I'm gonna show y'all what I have here now.
Okay.
Those who's still here. Oh, I can't share it, but I'll send it. Send it.
Okay. All right.
Thank you again.
Thank you, guys. Nice seeing you, Dr. Green.
Yes.
Thank you, Sonia. Thank you, Aish. You always come through. Thank you.
So much, very insightful and really appreciated. One of the students said,
Marcus, you gave me them shoes one time when my shoes broke. I'll never forget that. I'll always come through for you. Okay, I didn't have to walk barefoot through that park in the city. I don't even know if you remember. You gave me your fresh pair of brand new shoes.
I did. I remember.